for me, we're just dancing around. The question is 246 earmarked for the commission, 244 for personnel costs. Okay, so it's just a placeholder because there's no breakdown after the census prepared. What I expected the budget office to do, say, okay, we can tell you for a fact that as much as it's not 244, it is XYZ. So I don't know who's writing these essays or these releases for that. It doesn't make any sense. Government is about accountability. Now, for the accountant and those who prepare budget, this may just be technical space holder. But what I know in law is that an appropriation bill and it's an appropriation bill. As long as it's presented and it's passed and assented to by the president, you cannot spend it outside of what it was earmarked for, except the requirement which gets the approval of the National Assembly. And we know for a fact as well, let me say, we suspected, according to some of the experts, they say one of the places that biggest corruption happened is they put a lot of these monies in personnel costs, because if it's capital project, you can say, I want to buy chair, we can go and verify. The personnel cost is a lot of corruption. So the DG office, maybe we have to invite one of these candidates to come and explain these things. So I am not totally impressed that you're able to say it's a technical space holder. Let's accept that. Yeah, it wasn't ready because the budget had to be presented and all that. But please tell us how much the personnel cost is. Because after the time I read that statement that was reposted, there was no stated cost for personnel that raised that concern. So I don't know about that.
And you know what's interesting? This is one of several NDAs that are budgeted for, and for a lot of Nigerians, they don't even have time to pay attention to one, talk more about the hundreds that we have.
Almost 1,000 pages.
So is this a trend? Is this a thing that happens time and again? Clearly, there must be more clarity on it. If you say it's a placeholder, let's see the figures so that we won't just use that as a means to siphon money or have just people come on there. It says it's a placeholder. Nobody's really watching anyway. We must be very, very careful with the kind of communication we put out there. It must be that of transparency and accountability as a government. We can tell you that one of the biggest stories from yesterday is the video making the rounds of former AGF, as the former Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. And that video shows him being arrested by operatives, we understand, of the Department of State Services or the Security Service, the DSS. So there you see, when Sally was arrested, the video was shot in front of the Kuje Correctional Center in the nation's capital. And according to that video, you can see the former AGF being led to a vehicle apparently belonging to the DSS shortly after leaving Kuje prison. You may recall that the court had granted bail on several conditions and eventually it was perfected. But what do we see? Right when he was released, he was taken up again by the DSS. Now, before entering the van, he actually asked the DSS officials to present their identity cards. He was saying, "Where's your Gamundi? Can I see your ID card?" But this is a story we're following. Clearly, Mr. Malami has a big case to answer. But the irony is that this man is Nigeria's former AGF and Minister of Justice. Let that sink in for a moment, really, because there are different explanations, or at least there are different sides to this. For those in this camp, they believe this is a political witch hunt because he left the APC, now in the ADC. The government has said, well, if you have a case to answer, whatever party you're in, just answer the case. But we've seen the way this is being handled, particularly Jeffrey, the document that was released, allegedly showing properties linked to him, Jeffrey. I mean, looking through all of that, again, this must not be a media trial because we've seen that time and again. But no one will see those property and not want to just look again and say, wow, government job must be the most lucrative on earth.
It's a means to an end for some of them. Let's put it for the fact that he's not guilty until proven so by a court of competent jurisdiction. But generally, we cannot take away that some of these public officials, a lot of them steal our public funds. That's why I know we've given a kudos to the EFCC chairman for some of the things he dealt with, and the ITDC as well, some of the things they do with, Yahoo Boys and all of that. But I'm sorry, but I'm not impressed with either of them. I can say it's a good start, but I'm not impressed with either of them because the level of wealth of some of this. I know of a former governor. Now I don't want to call names. I'm trying to manage these things. I know of a former governor. This was in public domain who, after he had led the state for I think 4 years or so, when the EFCC spoke in on him, they seized, hear me, 36 houses that belongs to him in Abuja alone. 36. Well, those houses were later returned. I don't know, maybe they didn't find anything on him. So the question could be, how did these men just get this wealthy as far as the issues of amassing wealth is concerned when people get into public office? But if we stay on the issue of Malami, I don't know. These DSS are picking up people as soon as they finish from Kuje prison or they fulfill their bail condition. It's still something I'm not quite clear about. So is it that there are more charges brought to him? I know he's a person of interest, as apparently. When they don't want you to go, the government will look for a way anyway to just get you because they may see your flight rates and all of the escape justice in their view, so they want you to follow through with the judicial process. So I think they've done it to Shore before. At least I know Shore, who is literally in court, and in court every other day was in court, I think 2 days ago. So I don't seem to understand how this works when it comes to laws and how they operate. As far as the man who has been charged to court, I think he's been granted bail. He's fulfilled his bail condition. If I understand, that's why he will be released. So why are you arresting him again? So that's something that's not clear about. I know sometimes when it comes to the security agencies, typically sometimes you don't get the full picture of what they are trying to do. But for the sake of transparency and accountability, Malami is still not guilty until found guilty by a court of competent jurisdiction. I know people hold things against him for quote unquote the atrocities he committed when he was the Attorney General for 8 years, because those times when we're raising those concerns, some of them were being selectively deaf because it's typical with people in government. When you say national security supersedes the fundamental right or something of that nature, I know he had a face-off at the NBA with some senior lawyers who said somebody has been granted bail, granting bail, and they quoted issues around national security. So sometimes like these laws are not as clear as crystal, or people choose to interpret it the way they want. But first and foremost, I want to understand kind of why he was rearrested. I don't have facts to that effect. Perhaps he has met his bail condition. Maybe more charges were brought to him. Is that the way they're supposed to pick him up? Where he was invited and he refused to show up? These are fundamental issues. So if he was invited again and he refused to show up, then they have a right to arrest him with a warrant. But if he never invited the man and he just picked him up in front of the prison that he was just released on bail, I don't think that is right.
We've seen this happen time and again. Happened with
not correct.
Former CBN governor.
Yes.
The DSS, in fact, it was a scuffle between DSS and the correctional service officers. Remember that trending video? So it's almost like an MO. It doesn't look good, I must say.
It is not right.
If you're arresting someone, clearly there must be cause. Because what we've seen time and again is a solid case, or what looks like a solid case, is then messed up with the way it is handled. So we must understand why this happened. Why was there a rearrest? What exactly is at play here? Are there more charges? Is it still the same charge? And then you realize, Jeffrey, that there are lots of cases spread around. They're not even sure which is which anymore. Today they are reporting 200 billion. Another time it's 98 billion. And you're thinking, is this an addition, or you sort of split the cases? The point is, the right things must be done. So while we follow up on that to ensure that you get all of the angles to this, we have a show on our hands today. So let's walk you through the other big stories that we have for you on the program today. The All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria stormed the Ministry of Finance to protest alleged outstanding payments by the federal government. Yes, the president has spoken about these outstanding payments. What exactly is going on? And for those who are just hearing about the body called All Indigenous Business Contractors Association of Nigeria will stay with us on the show as we have the association's president, so as an analyst, to walk us through what exactly is at play with their pay.
As a matter of fact, we'll find out even more this morning as to why their monies haven't been released. And from there, we'll talk about this very horrible habit. It's difficult to understand why in 2026 people get to scoop fuel from a fallen tanker that is what you're seeing on your screen. That tanker had an accident on that bridge and the products were leaking and people were under like they were having a bath, scooping from it. Any mistake, they will all be barbecued. Explain that conversation, explore it this morning on the show. And from there, we'll get to politics. NNPP, as far as NNPP is concerned, what exactly is playing out with that political party? Is Abba Yusuf going against the interests of some of the members of his party to what we call political puppet, defecting like the others from NNPP to APC now that he's met with President Bola Tinubu? That's a big question on our hands. We'll try to answer it today with the officials of the party. And then Bukola joins us eventually.
Yes, indeed. Hi, guys.
I've also been covering all the stories, Catherine.
Chaotic, I must say. One of those days yet again. And I think that's a memo, guys. It's a black day,
So it's almost
a
like
costume, but not necessarily an event happening. Yeah,
Or
hopefully.
your bodyguards. You are in the VIP.
Brilliant.
That works, right?
I'm glad to have very dependable bodyguards.
We got you.
But you guys have done justice to the lead stories for the day, and so we'll take a moment, and when we return, it'll be time to unpack the lead stories this time on the front page. So stay with your perfect morning start, and we'll be right back.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching. This is news. News AM. Yeah? Thanks for watching. I want to meet some targets. That is why they use this one pastime. News. So watch news. Watch news.
Welcome back. So let's head right into the dailies. What are they saying this morning? Let's begin with the Vanguard. But before that, let's introduce our guest analyst today, Mr. Nigeria maintains calm. Now, Mr. Adini, I don't know how you're weighing into this, but how can there be confusion over uh, whether or not 163 persons are missing? The police came out to say yesterday that no, there's no event to that effect.
Well, for me, it's not a matter of number, whether one person or two people, whatever it is, it may be. And you cannot feel the pain like someone who is wearing the shoe. And they came out to say that so number has been kidnapped. I'm sure the next thing for the police to do is to investigate and to say, okay, when did they take place? Who are the family? Give us the name. I understand you're asking for some number. Like they said in some paper report that some section, because it was like a double attack or simultaneous attack that were carried out rather. So we are still talking about insecurity, especially in the place of worship. And if I must advise Christian Association of Nigeria or whoever head some of these religious body, that it is high time you do what we call bring your infrastructure, build your infrastructure, BYI. You know, if government, they have been paying lip service to state police, and for those who can afford the service of not just the police, the Nigerian Civil Corps, if they can come around, to protect them, and if they can put some of their personnel, to be trained, when it comes to security issue and all of that. And talking about the surveillance, CCTV cameras and all of that, so that and also I was talking to a security expert who said that even patrolling alone can reduce crime to about can reduce crime in whatever form, to about 30%. Those are the things I think they should do, because it seems government are helpless. It's not about debating the number, it's about protecting lives and property.
Well, you still see the CAN chairperson in Kadru local government area speaking to the press, particularly telephone now, saying that while 172 were initially abducted, 9 escaped shortly after the attack. He said that the attack occurred while members were in the middle of the service, but the bandits arrived in large numbers, blocked the church entrance, and forced the congregation into the bush. But the police is saying otherwise. In fact, they vehemently disagree, and that is the issue right now, because for the Christian Association of Nigeria, they say, well, an attack happened, but the police, the security forces, are saying the attack did not happen, or the abduction did not happen. But what you find out, Mr. Fatai, is that all over foreign media, the attack is a thing, or the abduction is a thing. Yes, the number varies. For some, it's 160 and all of that, but that is the story out there. So more needs to be done to unravel this. Understand that country has been under attack in previous times, but it's experienced relative peace in recent times. But let's see how other days are reported to get more angles to this advanced newspaper has the same story on the front page, which we'll get to anyway. But let's take a look at the New Telegraph. It says more than 160 worshippers kidnapped in twin Kaduna attacks, according to reports. And you see the PDP telling the president to prioritize security and not propaganda. You're financing terrorism by appeasing terrorists, adding on details government of the state government in Sinai during a swap deal of sorts, releasing bandits. You've had the government also spending on lobbying the United States to say, oh, they're doing well, we're protecting Christians. What a lot of people have said is that if you have the evidence, if you're doing the real work, you don't need to try to impress people or try to show the workings in that sense. So that's another big story on the front page. But you see news of mutiny, false alarm. Army says as troops deny all things 53 million naira in proceeds in 2 weeks. So the big stories on the front page concern security. So I wonder, is there any other angle you're looking at?
I think it has become profitable to some agents or individual or people who are sabotaging the whole process, because they know that, for example, in the case of Kaduna State government, because they know that they always want to, whether it's sort of a swap deal, let's release funds and all of that, paying ransom, and you are not coming out and doing your job with nobody been arrested, nobody
sure somebody is talking to these people, someone received the money. That those are the things that we should be talking about. Also, the case of meeting it for Salah, where it's just that our defense are giving us reassurance, democracy, government of the people, for the people and by the people. That it is your choice. So we are not nothing of such, and I think they should keep it that way, do their job, and government also shouldn't make some decisions that just some of our neighbor who are saying that fucking the government, we are not praying for that, so that you won't have the freedom of expression, freedom of association or to express yourself. But it is a good one, and the military, let's give it to them. They've been living up to the billing in the recent time, and they should keep on protecting, our border.
Interesting. The hope is that this is not true. That is the hope.
Yeah.
But we know how these things play out sometimes. Initial denials and counter narratives, then eventually find out that maybe it's true. But we're still following up. Some of us are still asking questions about, because the people raise their alarm and still doubling down on this. So we'll get to find out maybe at the end of the day whether or not these attacks really happen. But what is available out there is over, some are saying 163, some are saying 170, and multiple churches attacked in Kenya, which has been a subject that faith has been hostile environment for a long time. But since this administration came, there has been, under Obasanjo, there has been some improvement. But I would return to exactly that's another question altogether. I think let's go to the Vanguard and find out what the Vanguard is reporting. Still the same thing. So we did that. PDP has reacted. The people from Katibat has reacted as well, which is what was captured in News Telegram. Let's go just below that picture in front of the Vanguard newspaper. You see the story around politics. Kind of Governor Yusuf makes Tinubu defects to APC today. Government keeps mum after meeting at Asok Villa. So one of the most controversial, if you will, defection has to be the Kano State governor. Because a lot of people do not see this coming. These are some governors that you wonder why they defected. This is your home zone. No matter what, I have had members of the APC themselves say when some PDP governors defected, say, look, on a good day, that state will be one square and clear by the PDP. No, but they're happy to open their arms. That is, if the allegation about being paid to defect and coercion is not true, because there's that debate as well, that the government is paying big money for them to defect. They say, oh, they are part of some party. We'll get to find out eventually what happened. We'll just put it out there, and then we'll get to know what happened. But Abba Yusuf's defection is causing a lot of controversy in Kano. What do you make of it? Well, let's call it
Plan expression, yeah. Plan, yeah. For me, some of our politicians, it's just an issue of ideology, and I'm not sure there's any crisis in is it NPP or NPP, NNPP that brought him into the power. But politics is a game of personal interest. Is my interest being protected and all of that? And of course, I won't say call it the godfather or let me use the word, the national leader of NNPP. If he says, oh, I'm having someone to come and take over from you, and the mass wants to sit in the power, for just as the day unfolds, we are going to hear what transpire. Just sometimes some states, you and I know, just like Delta State, that we felt that, oh, this is a core PDP state, Congress, Akwa Ibom, and suddenly, so anything can happen when it comes to Nigerian politicians, as long as their individual interest is protected and not just about the people they are the government. So it's not a surprise for me, because if you can see it happen in Delta, you can see it happen in Akwa Ibom. So Kano is just an in-waiting cross-carpeting, like the new word that the dictionary added to their this year. One of the word cross-carpeting from Nigeria.
One of the questions I want to ask you, because I am personally just wondering, I look at a lot of states, so in the Northwest, for instance, literally all of the governors in the North, 7 states of the Northwest, all are new governors, literally all. I don't think there's any, all are first-time governors. I think Northeast, they have people that are a mix of that. The North Central, a lot of them are also first-time, not all, the South as well. Amechi Group. He also faced Jonathan Square, but he said, like Little Park, boom, boom, boom. The greatest respect, by the way. What do you make of that?
It just comes to the ideology. I want to start this what I believe. Whether rain comes, sunshine, I want to stick to my guns. Just like we see what happened in Ocean State. Adeleke maybe after the talk, people felt that it's going to APC, and before you know, he choose his own path. I want to see more of that, but just like you said, a little back and who knows, but politics is a game of number, it's a game of personal interest, and it's not about what they are going to offer the people that or the state. It's just I just want to be there. I want to make sure you can do one term and make an impact. Yoruba is that a king that reigns and people rejoices and people rejoice, they will never forget it. And the one that reigns and it's all about difficulties, pain, and all of that will not be forgotten. We are still talking about the impact of the lack of Dakonde in Lagos State, the impact of Atif Way, and all of that. So they can still do one thing and make an impact. And if people decide they want you, if your godfather says doesn't want you, can go to another part, but a little back and you change. It's not good. It's not a good ideology as a politician.
Well, there's no better way to put it. But before we let you go, perhaps to return to Vanguard newspaper momentarily to look at one of the high points of the start of the program, and that's the accident on a Papa Bridge, the Liverpool portion of the bridge, where there's a tanker that had an accident, and the tanker burst open and the products began to leak, and it was ample opportunity yet again for Nigerians to begin scooping fuel. And this is despite all of the advocacy, that has gone through television and other platforms on the dangers of this. What do you make of this, Mr. Adini?
First and foremost, I think government is not doing enough when it comes to being proactive. I'm sure this will not be the last time this kind of a thing will happen. So what do we do? What is the next 3 minutes when we get such incident? Who are the security personnel or emergency that will first of all come around to secure the area of the incident or the accident? And if you can see, people are just having their few days and scooping fuel. Just one bang and the whole place will be in chaos, or if I may borrow the word of death with that, everybody will be barbecue. We are not waiting for such a thing to happen. I think government can do better. Okay, what can we learn from this? How can we make sure we are proactive in case of any occurrence in the future? Who are the police that are coming? National Emergency Agency, when should they come in? Who should we bring in another truck to offload or whatever that is within? How can we control our people? Those are the things missing. It has been happening. This is not the first time, second time. So government need to come to the drawing board. What can we do? Should this thing happen tomorrow? Should it happen next week? So that because just one mistake and the whole place will be aflame. Government can do better.
Brilliant. Yes, that's work for another aspect of work for emergency management agencies. So must anchor at this point, and thank you very much, Mr. Adini, guest analyst, public affairs analyst, and MD, mega star magazine. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
So we'll take a moment now. When we return, we'll begin the very first leg of our conversation. What is happening to payment for indigenous contractors? We'll get answers in just a moment. Stay with us.
projects that you see, they are carried out by people, companies, a lot of them indigenous contractors, and they had to stage a protest at the nation's capital, Abuja, yesterday over alleged outstanding payments by the federal government. So you see, all the members rather of all indigenous contractors association of Nigeria storming the Ministry of Finance yesterday. I know the president last year had said, yes, he's aware now, he's told about the issues around payment of contractors, and he had said that, you know what, this will be sorted out. A committee has been set up to resolve all of these issues, but it is January the 20th, the day after January the 19th, when they protested, and it looks like these issues have not been resolved. So let's find out exactly what is at play here. What is happening to their money? Have the projects been done? Where is it stopped at? What are they hearing? We're joined on the program by Mr. Jackson Ifeanyi, who's the national president of All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria. Joins us live from our Abuja studio. It is AICAN. And we also have Mr. Chibuzo Okirike, a public policy analyst, joining us virtually. Gentlemen, good morning and welcome to the program. Well, it's good to have you. I'll naturally begin with you, Mr. Ifeanyi, because you led that protest to the Ministry of Finance yesterday. So what is at play here? Has your money been released and you've not received it? Is it that the money is not available? Have you carried out the projects or the contracts for which these monies are being sought? Help us understand what is at play here.
Good morning, my brother. How are you doing? What is there is that I think these are projects of 2024 capital projects. The contractors nationwide, finance all capital projects. Till date, payment that has been made to contractors, in spite of borrowed funds from financial institutions, not up to 20 to 30% has been paid as we speak. The government has been promising and promising and promising, and they've been eliminating on their thing. As we speak now, as at the 31st of December 2025, they finalized some payment of our own association, not the entire contractors, nationwide. The payment that they finalized, most of us have not received one naira, not allowed at all at all. So we've spoken with Doris, the Minister of Finance for the state. She promised that the payment will come in. Today is 20th. We waited and we see it. That is when we decided to go out there to make sure if that payment is not made, we keep or occupy the street, especially Minister of Finance, until all payment of contractors are paid. Now, there are different versions of it. There are some of them that is not warranted. Contractors will refuse their project for government to pay. They will not give warrant. They will not release form. Even if they release warrant, they will not be cash backing. This has been going on for years. We have decided that this must stop. And continue like this. They are killing the real sector, real investors. That's what I'm saying. No, this must stop.
So,
Just to be working on the streets last year, what would have done is to take most of this form to debt management. Right. If you have 10 million, they start giving 100 million, 20,000, 30,000, 100,000, and they will kill your system.
So
that is the requirement to do.
Right. Help us understand the number now, the figures, because there are different figures flying around. One, the president set up a committee about a month plus ago to clear 1.5 trillion naira owed federal contractors. You are saying 4 trillion naira is owed. So let us know, the one that the president set up a committee to resolve, how far with that? Did that involve you as well? And your 4 trillion naira, has it been scratched at all by the 1.5 trillion naira, or is it a different one entirely?
try to divert the attention. Now, if the set of committee, we are not aware of the set of committee. We'll be hearing on the news. If the set of committee would have informed us, say, see, please, be part of this committee and monitor your report. As we speak now, whether committee or no committee, no payment has been made. If any payment has been made, no probably most of those they are funds before contractors. We are not aware, no payment has been made, and they are not ready to pay.
So let's be clear.
The 4.7 trillion. Now, the person that was in charge initially, Mr. Mokowale, we had an agreement with him, and he said he will use balance from May to September last year. Now, most contractors have interpreted between May and September, even to December. Most of them are not become available. The only time they made payment was February last year, which is about 30 billion in a year. So now, whatsoever they are talking about, the initial amount they calculated initially was 5 trillion. That was for 5 trillion as at February, March. Between that February, March to September and December, so many contractors are really affected. You understand? So we've done our calculation, it's over 4.7 trillion. The entire budget of capital project, this is about 12.7 trillion, just to get it for something. So I'm not mistaken.
So are you saying that whatever money that have been claimed to have been paid were paid to other contractors, not the indigenous contractors? Are you privy to that information?
100%. 100%. If they pay, then they come and give us evidence.
So what is the reason for not paying? What is their reason for not paying?
Everybody is consulting to examine elections. You don't know what they are doing with the funds of Nigeria. The renewed hope, the renewed hope represents a million. The risk in contractors that collected loans from banks. Most of our properties have been seized by banks. The real contractors are not being paid at all.
Okay.
I don't know how they can do it.
We'll come back to you. There are questions I want to ask you, but let's bring in Mr. Chibuzo Osai, who is the public policy analyst on this particular. Mr. Chibuzo, thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
So, is there a good reason why government is not fulfilling its obligation that you're aware of?
Well, I think first of all, they're having the issue because we have refused to follow laws and governance framework that actually regulates procurement process and the payment in the country. We have the Procurement Act for 2007 that actually prescribes that government should not be performed if there are no funds available.
All right, Chibuzo, we'll try and get back to you, but before I ask a question, let me just find out from you. Maybe help us point out some of this. What kind of jobs do the contractors do? Are they building? What kind of work do you do? What do some of your guys? What do they do? Are they building bridges? Are they building roads? Just to have an idea of the nature of the capital project you undertook.
Like for me personally, I built an ICT center at Ndufu, unless you come University of Imo State. I did a project at the Imo State School. I did another project at Bayelsa ICT also. The one in Imo State is federal government college. Renovation of the school. So she has moved for contractors that supply drugs with hospitals, markets, roads, bridges, and so on, and so on. And most of these projects have been commissioned without pay. I carry commission projects. Those projects have been, the government has been using those projects, and you refuse to pay the date. And you see them all over everywhere, campaigning for themselves. We will continue to make sure we demand for our rights. Nothing under this earth, if they want to fight it for. Yesterday, the heads of the certificate of Mr. Doris shot at us yesterday at Minister of Finance because we are protesting, we are demanding for our rights. That can never happen. They want to kill all of us, they will kill all of us in the streets. Let the world know that Nigeria system are against indigenous contractors. 3 seconds.
All right. Let's bring in Mr. Okereke in and hope that this time around we'll be able to hear clearly. Jeffrey had asked what could be the valid reason for the delay in payments of the insurance contractors. And this is particularly important, especially since President Tinubu last year had expressed concern about the delay in payments and set up a panel to look into this. So it's been a month plus. What could probably be the reason for this delay? Dr. Okereke, that's for you.
That has to do with the bridge. Yeah, if you can help me, the foundation and
to also respond to this, which is very critical for conversation. We hardly hear, the contractors handling major projects in the FCT, or, for instance, the Lagos Calabar Coastal Highway, protesting delay in payment, or the impact of the Public Procurement Act, having anything to do with the release of funds to further those projects. So
platform for payments, okay? Now, cash backing is like that fund being available in the government account so that when contractors finish their project, submit all verifying documents, they can access their money. Now, government gives 1 round without cash backing, which means they are giving us like a dot check. Giving check that when you go to the bank and submit the check, you can't be able to get the funds. That is what the government has been doing. And the funny thing is that this 2024 capital budget is the first budget of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. As we speak, that 2025 capital budget was not executed to up to 10%, if at all. It was. They gave 30% advance payment as well without even cash back money. We have a bigger problem to confront. But all insurance contractors throughout Nigeria, we have come out to make sure that government does the right thing henceforth.
So,
They can't neglect us anymore. They can't take us for granted anymore.
and it's important for the Ministry of Finance to speak on this and clear the air. And this is us advising them yet again to speak on these issues. Since 2024, it doesn't look good at all. But we have to thank you so much, Mr. Moy, the National President of the All Indigenous Contractors Association of Nigeria, IECAN, as well as Dr. Chibuzo Okereke, Public Policy Analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.
We'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we'll be having the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority right here in our studio. So if you have questions, issues, stay with us. We'll be right back. What makes a true leader in the game is being the first to start. For over a decade, one name has always led the front. That name is Bet Naja. Bet Blue, bet freeze, what up, Bet Blue? Not just futures, but unbeatable odds on over 300,000 live matches. Waiting to win. Just another reason why Bet Naja is truly Nigeria's number one. When a tanker bearing fuel falls or an underground pipe bearing fuel bursts, what do? Scooping fuel in your bucket or running far away from impending fire? You have a few seconds to take the wisest decision. Walk away? No, that is not enough. Shift? No, that is not enough. Stay there and gist and take shots with your phone? That is madness. Run. Yes, run away. Yet, your life depends on your action. The flames come suddenly, unexpected, but uncontrollable. Why? Fuel is highly inflammable. Why? It just requires a spark to set off a ravaging inferno. So, don't stay there to think. Storm away to live. Do not throw away your life in anguish for meaningless fuel siphoning. Be advised.
Welcome back. It's still your perfect morning starter on Channel Television, the Morning Read. Now let's talk about traffic management in relation to emergency response. That is a very critical conversation because time and again an incident occurs and then there's some form of emergency or unusual untimely situation. Sometimes that does not result in injury, but there's some loss. Let's look at this holistically now. And joining us on the program, we have the General Manager, the Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, Mr. Olalekan Bakariuki, who joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Mr. Bakariuki, thank you for coming on the morning brief.
Thank you, Robin. Good morning.
And we feel privileged because we know that you're supposed to be on the road now or perhaps deploying the men to stations in Lagos. So thank you for finding time to come on the program. And so let's talk about the Apapa incident on the Liverpool portion of the bridge see there how people went and began scooping fuel in what appeared to be a very dangerous situation as the product spilled over from the bridge. Now, this suggests that we had some time to do that. I wonder if there were traffic management officials around that area, police, maybe ASMA. What usually is the modus operandi when officials, government officials, are there in such a situation? Are there calls made through to emergency officials to respond to the situation for effective management?
Thank you. When we got to the scene yesterday, on Liverpool flyover moving towards my 2, where the tanker had an accident upturned. First and foremost, we have to cordon off the place. We happen to be the first responder. We call on all other responders too. The first responder we call was the Lagos State Fire Service, which they were prompt in their response in case of any incasity. We equally put a call through to the Nigerian police. Area Big Command is very close to that end. So when they came, we started the process of recovery. But unfortunately, we took charge of the hub of the flyover. Someone had to call our attention. Now there was a crowd trying to skip fuel. So we quickly called the attention of the area commander and he deployed his men to disperse the crowd that were trying to take the diesel that was gushing out.
When you say prompt, how do you describe prompt? How soon after the accident on the Liverpool portion of the bridge was the team of the Lagos Fire Service deployed to the scene?
It was prompt because the disaster was averted.
How much time did it take them to arrive after the accident?
The incident occurred around 8:15, 8:19 a.m. in the morning. Lagos State Fire Service got there less than 10 minutes. That was why I said they were prompt. There were a series of other incident management in Lagos that will be able to curtail, be able to advance what will have resulted in a serious disaster. Let me tell you this. In Lagos State today, Lagos State witnessed over 65% of movement of cargoes, both wet and dry cargoes, in the entire country, as a result of the location of the major seaports in the state. Of course, the Dangote refinery at Lekki Free Trade Zone, Dangote fertilizers. This will tell you the number of trucks, tankers that fly Lagos coast on a daily basis. Whenever we witness any breakdown or any accident affecting this vehicle, we are always strategic in our approach so that we need whatever happened in the port. We give spontaneous reaction to every incident.
You said 10 to 15 minutes, but I wonder how early enough that was to prevent people from beginning to scoop fuel, because we saw that there was some fuel scooping done, and we have not seen the deployment of emergency officials of any agency in Lagos.
You agree with me? Crowd control. Nigerian police have to civilize with people, especially the extremists, when they come to such situations. It's not within the purview of last man to control crowd. It is the constitutional responsibility of the Nigerian police to provide security in such situations. And I told you earlier, when the incident occurred, when we saw what was going on underneath the bridge, we quickly put a call through to the area commander in charge of the area, which of course was prompt in sending his men to arrest the situation. That was why nothing happened apart from those that came early to school for it.
So let me understand. When you discovered that the fuel was leaking from the accident and they were stopping the entry, is that when you called the police?
The leakage started on the bridge.
Yes.
In my earlier statement, I made mention that when we got to the scene, we were the first responders.
Yeah.
We quickly called on all other responders, the Lagos State Fire Service, LASEMA, Nigerian Police, even Lagos State ambulance services was put on standby in case of any eventualities. Okay, so when we were deployed to the flyover,
said everybody was called. When you went to the scene as a first responder, that's what you said. And then now discover that people were scoping field and say put another call or you put a call again. So I'm a bit confused as to the series of calls. So is it one call or two calls? Because the reason we're probing further is to be sure that response was quick, because anything could have happened there. Accident happened, of course, but the unhealthy habit of people going under this bridge to scoop the field was so. I needed to be clear on the response that is involved with clearing the people from danger. That's what I was trying to find out from you.
The call was continuous. As I said, when the incident happened on the flyover, we put a call through to all the responders. But there was another call that was put through to the Nigerian police, the police command, especially the area commander, to bring additional men to curtail the excesses of those people who were underneath the bridge.
So help us understand the before and the after. One, what caused that tanker to tip over? What exactly was the cause? Is it as a result of reckless driving, some sort of mishap on the road? That's on the one hand, because it's important to also know what caused this, so it can be a learning experience both for the officials of LASMA, police, and the drivers themselves. Because I think some of these drivers are both people. Secondly, just how much work has been done to properly clear that area entirely. So first the before and now the after.
Yes. Before, statutorily, as I said, it is the responsibility of the Nigerian police to investigate all accident cases. I'm very sure the investigation are ongoing now. I cannot preempt the decision of the investigation.
But you have your preliminary findings as to what may have caused.
But I can assure you, the driver will not go unpunished. Immediately, all the vehicles, immediately the tanker was removed. The whole area was cleared. Even the Lagos State Fire Service have spent extra hours in ensuring that they sludge all the spilled water, both on the bridge and underneath the bridge, in order to avoid any fire incident or incident.
So was it overspeeding? Was it a faulty tanker? Was it a state of the road? Or was it the driver himself? Was it intoxicated? What are the possibilities? At least I know you get there. Just
Who are with the decision of the Nigerian police on their investigation on that. I cannot preempt them.
Right. So you're saying you don't have any preliminary findings?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Investigation ongoing by Nigerian.
I'll be shocked if because the last man that I know would have had preliminary findings. But this speaks to also the work that LASMA does, right? Ever since LASMA became a thing in Nigeria, they say that the fear of LASMA sometimes is the beginning of wisdom, right? Because they are lurking around everywhere to ensure that they do their job, and a lot of times it is taken overboard. But I want to limit this to commercial vehicles, right? What exactly is the situation, sir? Is LASMA in bed with commercial vehicles? Is LASMA afraid of commercial vehicles? Or is LASMA overwhelmed by these commercial vehicles? I'm talking about the yellow buses and the mini buses. Because too many times you find these drivers and vehicles flouting traffic rules, park on the road when there's a lay-by just right there, pick passengers. They do not even have indicators. All the all the indicators are broken. The cars are not in good state. But it looks like LASMA officials are right there, look away, and then they look for the private vehicles far away and leave the commercial to go arrest the private vehicles. So what exactly is that thing? Are you in bed with them? Are you afraid of them or overwhelmed by them?
None of such. LASMA is never overwhelmed. LASMA is just being strategic in our operations now. Before I became the general manager, there were a lot of public outcry against the activities of LASMA, especially when it comes to apprehending vehicles that commit traffic offense. When I became the general manager, and I and my team, we went into the courtroom in order to re-strategize and position the agency. And part of what we put in place is to introduce technology. The
Now LASMA has a target device that's called TMS, Traffic Management Solution. Because I've been saying it with my main is that whenever anyone whenever any vehicle commits traffic offense, their duty is to capture real-time substantial pictorial evidence that will be processed and a message will be sent to the actual offender. Apart from that, if you look at the menace of these commercial forces we are talking about, what we do now, last part of the training will be given that I will be given to our men over 2 years when I became the general manager. At all times, whenever they want to apprehend or arrest any vehicle, apart from commercial and private vehicles, safety has to come first. The safety of the last official, the safety of the passengers or occupants of the vehicle. When you see my men on the street looking at the commercial bus, they are just being safety conscious. Is that they take a video record of the incident or they use the gadget with them? Let me give you 2 scenarios. Last year, August to be precise, I led a major physical enforcement into the Matakata Transit. You are very usually driving against them. In my team, the Kai commander from Lagos State, Major Poe, was with me. I have mobile policemen. I have OPNSA. I equally have enforcement from Burma. It was a wood operation. I led the team. My vehicle was in front. The first vehicle that was called the commercial force that has about 15 to 16 passengers was driving in this traffic. And they saw the length of vehicles come by enforcement. You know that this particular driver almost skidded into the water. I did do something else. What would have people say? The narrative would be, nobody would say the vehicle drove against traffic or the vehicle drive in a position the direction would be never enough. Situation will change. So after I said, what we do now is prioritize safety more. And so many occasions, my men have been injured and made by these commercial forces in the course of my career. That was why we went to the bottom and strategize on our mode of enforcement. When you go to most of our offices today, our removal yards, you will see more commercial forces than private vehicles.
So how many
commercial
drivers have been prosecuted? How does the CMS work to ensure accountability? Because if you go to some flashpoints in Lagos, for instance, just by us here in Baga, you see a lot of commercial bus drivers who are unruly. They are driving and they are in the way of major motorists who are trying to access a thoroughfare. So how has the CMS ensured accountability, and how many commercial drivers have been prosecuted?
In terms of prosecution, 2 weeks ago, this time I last said to be precise, I led another enforcement team to Airport Road, very close to very close to the international airport. We apprehended over 78 vehicles. I was there with huge security. We were attacked. Some of my men were injured. We prosecuted 7 of them. The news was everywhere. As I speak with you, the 7 men are still in custody. They've been remanded to prison. And then the case will come up before the end of this month.
It's good that LASMA is strategic for the safety of all. But I know you put forward, some successes, but I don't think it's effective. It's not effective because, as you said, just go to Berger here, you and I can drive with my own vehicle, not your vehicle, and we'll just be videoing and see exactly, because you see exactly what is going on. So I don't know how effective that is. If you go to VIO now, it's some office here where you do the roadworthiness. You have to see these commercial vehicles. In fact, the last time we had one official of this traffic official was saying, look, they don't come because they will never pass the test. So you see more middle income earners, cars that there are 2 people you will not see there. Commercial vehicles and the super rich, they never go there. It is just average people that go there. It looks like the law is made for the average man knows who to call. The poor man will go naked and he will left to go away. So, to that extent, what relationship are you having? Because I don't think you can do it alone. The National Union of Road Transport Workers, who are heading these people, who are in charge of the parks and all of that, what is the relationship between traffic officials, not just last month now, but you are, at the vanguard of traffic management in Lagos, to be able to be effective? Because you're not effective yet.
We are effective. We have a response relationship in terms of traffic advocacy with all these especially the unions. And apart from that, I told you myself, the activities happen to be a menace in the state. And Lagos State government, through Lagos State Ministry of Transportation, has taken the foot by the horn. There is an initiative now that is called VRI, Force Reform Initiative, that is being anchored by the Office of the Special Advisor to the Governor on Transportation, Honorable Sholagiwa. The pilot scheme has kick-started on Lekki Express Road. This process is very simple and straightforward. The franchise has been given to about 5 or 6 companies, and the door is still open, where all these buses and drivers will come under an umbrella. They will be given a standard in terms of the worthiness of their vehicle. They will be given a tag, a body number. So if any of them happen to commit a traffic offense, last one official policeman does not need to run after them. What we need to do is just to gather a substantial evidence and send it to the company via technology. This initiative, by February, March, April, is going to take off fully on Lekki Express Road. And so many negative vehicles are under illegal menace of this commercial bus will be curtailed. And with time, before the end of the year and next year, they are going to spread across other 5 divisions in the state.
I'm asking this question. It's just like, I don't know why you chose to start with Lekki, but where there's beggar here.
We need to start from there.
I'm saying.
You are being sensitive.
No, there's nothing to do here. Yes.
No, but there's also Ikorodu. There are other areas.
I'm saying that for it to be effective, you need to look at the most hostile areas. No matter what you do in those places, with greater respect for people who live there, whatever happens in Bega, whatever happens around Oshodi, and certain places, if it's effective there, how did Fashola, the former governor, gain the popularity, win the heart of the Russian? Because of what he did at Oshodi. Hotspot, he fixed it. So that's why I'm asking that question. And that's why I still stand where I'm standing now. I appreciate this effort of the agency is working on, and we hope it will. But when we do get to Bega, yes, let me be sentimental.
We will surely get it. I'm giving you an assurance. We're not going to rest on our hands until we put sanity on Lagos roads, until we reduce carnage on Lagos roads. I'm giving you my words. You will not get off our game.
All right. We hope that will come through, especially since Lagos now has a camera surveillance system that doesn't need physical arrest of motorists before there's some form of accountability is secured in terms of traffic. If you drive around Ikeja in recent times now and you breach traffic rules, you get a message. It's via SMS, and you're told how much you're going to pay. So we wonder how and why that does not apply to commercial drivers now. Before we wrap up, this is also a very critical part of the conversation. Which agency is mandated to ensure the compliance with non-flying, so to speak, of bus rapid transit routes? Is it LASMA? Is it the police? Or is it any form of enforcement agency in the state? This is because there are some enforcement agencies that ambush commuters in a particular location in Lagos unsuspectingly, and there are no signages to indicate that this is a bus rapid transit route, and then those people are arrested and sorted. So which agency has that responsibility?
There is no time the laws go to sleep. And it's global. It's a global Westerners. Doubtless are purely estimated for that purposes only. But according to Lagos State Transport Reform Law of 2018, last month, Lamata Law Enforcement Unit 2 are allowed to impound vehicle that goes against the law. And let me tell you this, why there is so much pressure in Lagos in terms of road form of transportation. In Lagos State today, we have over 5 million vehicles on Lagos roads. And people commute, movement of goods and services are being done, over 90% of such movement are being done through the road. And if you compare the landmarks of the state, Lagos State has less than 1%, if not 0.4, out of total landmarks in the country. So there comes a challenge on how to mitigate between the 5 million vehicles and the limited land space in the state. Are you aware that Lagos has 24 money deposit banks and villages in the state, with several microfinances and merchant banks? Lagos State has 69 tertiary institutions. And all these activities are to be done through a limited land space. We have only major 67 major roads and 5 ramps in Lagos. And if you are familiar with vehicular pattern in the state, in the morning, you have high density of vehicles. Over 65% of vehicles usually come from the mainland to the island in the morning and peak period. What do I mean by mainland? People coming from outside the state, Ikorodu, within and outside Ikorodu, Mowi, Ikeja, Lagos Badagry Expressway, Lagos Abeokuta Expressway. And for them, for these services and people to get to the island, they can only connect the island through 3 major means. They only have 3 transit points to get to the island. Is either they get to the island through Todmela Bridge, Kata Bridge, or Iko Bridge. So definitely there's going to be a opportunity for LASMA as an agency that is saddled with the responsibility of ensuring seamless mobility. We will identify all these challenges, right? And we are not sleeping. We are not resting on our work until we improve on the travel time of Lagosians.
And I think a lot of conversation came through to last during the Yuletide, the handling of traffic in Lagos, how your men and women, I don't know why we always say the men of last time, the men and women of last time.
Military and paramilitary,
Well, it's important so people know this is true. Exactly. Working round the clock to ensure that there was smooth. Because Lagos saw a lot of activity during the Yuletide. So when there is commendation, absolutely the people give last month. I've seen a lot of people comment last month, maybe when they had accidents and last month came through. So it's important to state that. But I want to reiterate my point because the goal is to have the very best public institutions in Lagos and across Nigeria. So people can say, you know what, Nigeria is a great country. It's not just in mouth, it's actually in action. So what is the major challenge of last man men, right, officials? Let's take Oshodi as an example. Jeffrey referred to when a former governor connected Oshodi. If you go to Oshodi right now, there's consistent traffic just before you get to that bus stop. And what do you see when you get to that bus stop? You see vehicles parked from commercial vehicles, and we don't have anything against commercial vehicles. But you see them parked in the most unruly manner. You see those boys doing their thing, and you just wonder, come on, in Lagos in 2026. So what you find most of the time is these commercial drivers have already paid some of your people. So they keep them almost like they remit to your people from time to time, 200, 500. And sometimes you see this in broad daylight, you just hand it over to them. So what are you doing to ensure discipline amongst your men so that they're able to enforce the law? Yes, you say sometimes they are attacked and all of that. When you find out so many times, they also are accomplices.
That was an allegation. And he who alleged must prove beyond reasonable doubt. Be that as it
So you're saying that you have never gotten a report of your men being used?
No, I'm just.
No, I see what you're doing here. So tell me, is that true or not that you've never
I'm getting somewhere. Let me like.
Okay, because you are attacking my own points. I wanted to also
Let me lay in context. Let me like. And according to the Lakers say, in every 12, there will be a Judas. Last one management, part of what we put in place in order to ensure that we curtail cases of our medical. When I became general manager, we have to change the whole process of our disciplinary action. We have a provost unit and a surveillance unit. They walk around the clock. So many times they go out like a mystery shopper, unidentified, in an unbranded vehicle, to curtail, to arrest any of our men that intend to go outside the night. And apart from this, we equally have our own free line, where people have been calling us, giving us complaints, reporting issues against our men. Our social media handles are ever active. We are next with good followership. People have been complaining, and all their complaints, over 90%, if not 100, we are promptly attended to. For 2025, the total number of 28 of my men face disciplinary action. 9 of them are given total dismissal. There is always a process in Lagos State Public Service where you go through in terms of disciplinary actions. Some of them were given reduction or demotion in their level, in their rank, while others were advised to leave the service compulsory retirement. All these are part of the strategy in ensuring that we position GDP for effective and efficient service delivery.
So in a case of, an untoward circumstance happening in any flashpoint in Lagos, any bus stop, should we watch out for the name tag of the so-called LASMA official so that we can prove the allegations that we made? And in the case when we're arrested, for preaching BRTA road where there's no signage, what should we do as Lagosians whose rights will be infringed upon?
Any issues that affect my men, that has to do with national official, always feel free. We operate an open law policy. You don't even need to come physically. You can get us through the X or our toll-free line. My own contact is readily available everywhere. We are just a colleague. Report any incident, and we are sure.
Can you call out your number?
080.
Your first name. You want to call your personal number?
Why not?
Oh, okay. I'm sure that's
Well,
all.
the LASMA hotline.
I'm a government servant.
The LASMA
The
hotline.
toll-free line, yes.
Nobody called you by 2 a.m. to wake you up.
No problem.
So please call the one that is not your number that I'm calling. Your toll-free line.
The toll-free line 080 000 527862. And they'll be reaching
So
us
can I say it again, sir?
080 000 527862.
Okay.
All right. I have a job of work to do, sir.
You want to mention another one? I want to mention another contact.
No, not your personal contact.
That's fine, right?
Yes, that's fine.
That's the hotline, the toll-free line.
They can only reach us through the social media.
Okay, that's what
We are next at Follow Last Man. We are on Facebook at the Call Last Man.
And you're on Instagram as well?
Yeah, on Instagram at the Call Last Man.
As a call out.
Yeah, we know your public servant.
And our provost office and
Yeah.
surveillance.
Yeah, we know your public servant. I'm a member of the House of Reps. So that nobody calls you by 3.
I'm actually trying to call the line 080 527 It keeps saying call ended, so I hope it's because lots of people are calling and not because there's an issue with the line.
So you must have multiple numbers. You can send it to us. We'll help.
We'll surely work on it.
Send it across to us.
I'd like to believe that that's because so many other people are trying to call it
Yeah,
and say that. But we're going to try this
call ended.
and give you a feedback there. So you have a job of work. We certainly do not envy you at this moment, but we wish you the very best as you continue to ensure sanity on Lagos roads. We've been talking with Mr. Olaleko Bakarioki, the General Manager, Lagos State Traffic Management Authority, LASMA. Thank you so much for making out time to talk to us on this very important issue.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
We'll take a moment now. When we return, it will be time to talk politics of the NNPP and the APC. Stay with us for this next one. We'll be right back.
Cube is available beef, chicken, jollof, and crayfish flavors in 50 cubes saver pack and 100 cubes super saver pack. Terra Cube, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
The biggest conversation now, perhaps arguably, maybe the tax law and what's happening in politics. But in a few weeks from now, INEC is expected to roll out its timetable ahead of the elections in 2027. We have other elections coming up. February is going to be the turn of the area councils in Abuja. And then middle of the year, we'll have elections in Osun State. But the big one is ahead of us. And the horse trading will eventually start. But now it's a season of defection. For your records, the NNPP is having a bit of a conversation as to for and against. Their only governor, by Yusuf in Kano State, is planning to officially defect, we understand, perhaps today. Well, let's talk to the National Publicity Secretary of the NNPP. Mr. Ladipo Johnson joins us from Abuja today. Mr. Johnson, good to see you and thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
I think a good place to start is to ask you, tell us maybe an update of the status of things as far as whether or not the defection is happening and what the position of the NNPP is with Abba Yusuf, the governor of Kano State.
Yes, for a few weeks now, we've had a lot of talk about the governor defecting to the APC, and then, sorry, excuse me, defecting to the APC, and they kept postponing. So we are not certain about what is going on. But yesterday, just like you did, we saw that he was at the villa, and he met with the president to, apparently, according to the press release, to discuss issues relating to Kano State, the developments of mega projects, etc. That much is, that is what I know for now. How are we taking it? We believe that he met with the national leader, and we believe that our position is well known to him and to those who are with him, that we do not feel it is the time to move to any platform for that matter, whether to the APC or any other platform at the present moment. We are doing a lot of work. We're talking to different groups, different parties, trying to make sure that we get, as they say, the greatest happiness for the greatest number. but we have to see how we can move the party forward and get, as I say, most of the members happy that we're going in the right direction towards 2027.
So what does this mean for the NNPP? Let's hypothetically say he chooses to leave the party and join the APC to fulfill his political ambition to seek re-election on another platform, which is the ruling party, which is what has been happening with even the PDP that has gotten its mass defection in recent history. What will the NNPP do? They're going to build another candidate. Because I'm sure you're looking at all the possibilities in terms of scenario planning.
It's a simple, straightforward thing. In 2019, without a sitting governor or members of the House of Assembly, etc., we believe we won Kano. But yes, INEC said it was inconclusive, and later Ganduje won a re-election. In 2023, same position, we went up against the APC, and His Excellency Abakabir Yusuf knows it, that he won the election. NFPP won the elections, won most of the seats, and we did this without having anyone in situ, any officials in situ, no councillors, nothing. We were able to win Kano. And by God's special grace, in 2027, the same thing will happen, whether or not he has left us or whether he's with us. And that sounds slightly arrogant, and I'm not being arrogant. I'm just saying it's politics, and I believe that we will be able to win Kano.
So why aren't you joining the APC?
Well, look, there are many issues, whether about joining the APC or joining any other platform or party. We have to consider many things. There are several things that are. Sorry, I'm speaking in a funny manner because I have an echo in my head. But we have to consider all sorts of things. I know that we've had a season, as you alluded to earlier, where it's like a football transfer season, where a lot of the governors have been moving. And I keep asking people, what is the pull, or what the pull factor is? Definitely in our own case, I don't think there's a push factor. There's nothing that has happened with the NNPP or that we have done. Our governor has had a free hand. So we are wondering what is pulling them away from us, not what we've done to push them out. But joining the APC is one of the things that is on the card. It's on the table. But as I said, we have to consult far and wide, and we have to consider a lot of things. For instance, where I'm seated, I will be talking about security, about inflation, about all sorts of things. And there are some people who believe that if we join the APC, we will add value and the country might move forward. So you have people in any party, you have people with, you always have various ideas and positions. And we're working at that. And I believe, as I've said in the last 2-3 weeks, I believe that by the end of January, early February, we will have, we will be able to tell our supporters the way we are going for 2027.
Now, your position is a clear reflection of what is understood to be the disposition of the leader of the Kwakwasiya movement, Alhaji Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso, to the defection of the governor of Kano State to be planted the other group, led by the founder, Mr. Anibuna, and his own betrayal has also been paid back to him in same coin. What are your thoughts to this, to the expression of this, the other group, to what is playing out in Kano NNPP?
I take exception to the word overbearing, not from you, from those who have coined that phrase. There's no overbearing influence. The governor of Kano has not stated that he's been remotely controlled or directly controlled for that matter. And I know for certain that he has had a free hand. Same thing with all those who are in Senate or what have you. Talk is always cheap. When things go sour or you want to go the other way, then it's easy to look at someone who's been in the political limelight since the days of the SDP. He was Deputy Speaker at the Federal House of Representatives. All sorts of things, Minister of Defense, two-time governor, everything. So it's easy to say, oh, he's overbearing. Even within the party, I've worked with him because I've been in the National Working Committee for over 4 years now. And I tell you, there is no overbearing influence. But as to our cousins who have been expelled from the party, and that's why I call them our cousins, and the unfortunate incident happened, there's no talk of, hijack the party. Those who say that, I don't want to use a bad word, they do not understand the concept of democracy. Democracy is no one owns the party. No one owns the party. The constitution of every party starts with we, the people. And if people join in, and you have more people joining in who are of the same ideology and whatever, then gradually they may have a swaying influence over the party. So I think we should stop this sentimental thing of, oh, you joined the party and then Anibuna was there and now he's out of the party. That's not the issue. There are steps, there are things that happen, and people should find out what happened. When someone says it's bigger and bigger than the National Executive Committee because he's the founder, then you begin to know that we will not accept so. We didn't accept so. And that's why they are where they are today. It's not about someone hijacking the party. But be that as it may, it's politics. And it's about the majority having sway or moving the party in the direction that they choose. And that's politics. You have freedom of association, freedom of movement. We cannot, if the governor moves tomorrow, there's nothing I can do. There's nothing we can say. And we won't be insulting each other. We're all brothers. So if he feels that it's best for him, then he makes the move he wants to make. Same thing with Dr. Anibuna and his cohort. They decided to go against the Constitution, and we ended up where we are. It's not about hijacking anything.
So do you think that with the political calculation, political outliers that have happened, and possible outcomes that may happen in 2027 in terms of the political dynamics and calculations, is the NDP going to be presenting a presidential candidate, or there's conversation around maybe working with the coalition or working with the ruling party? What is the conversation around having a candidate in 2027?
I think that we expect to have candidates all across board. However, if we are in a coalition or if we're working with someone and we deem it fit and we come to an agreement, there's nothing stopping the NNPP from being part of another larger group. You understand? Supporting a presidential candidate from any other place or from said earlier,